Good evening and welcome to today's edition of Keeping It Real with Rammona. I have a very special guest with me today. His name is Shifu Kanishka Sharma. Hi Kanishk, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful. It's really nice to have you on Keeping It Real with Rammona. Thank you so much for taking time out and being willing to be here and share your incredible story with us. I'll just take a couple of minutes and briefly introduce you to our viewers who are going to watch this now or anyone who watches the replay. So there are a lot of things that I can actually say and share about Kanishk, but some of the really cool things that set him apart from most people are that he's actually the first Indian Shaolin Warrior. He's a martial arts guru. He's an action choreographer and close combat mentor for the Indian Special Forces. He is actually the first Indian to train at the famous Shaolin Temple in China and is India's sole KungFu warrior to be honored with the title of Shifu. He is the only Indian to be the official disciple of Abbot of Shaolin Temple, China, and he's been blessed with a special Buddhist name, which is called the Perfect One. I'm not sure about the correct pronunciation, so do you want to tell us how that's pronounced?
It's called Yan You.
Shi Yan You.
Okay. Yeah, she is Buddhist. Yan is 34th generation, and You means the perfect one. Yeah, like that.
Wonderful. Yeah, so that is what it is, the perfect one. And Kanishk's actually got a very interesting story. He started with his love for martial arts when he was very young, actually in school. And we'll get into that a little bit further as we have this conversation. But in terms of what he's done a lot of things at a young age. I think after being in a career that wasn't his calling, he decided to follow his passion, and that is what sets him apart. That he had the courage to do that, and even today he is living his passion. So in 2018, he actually became the first and only Indian to be certified as a full instructor by the legendary martial artist Paul Monarch in rapid assault tactics. And that's actually a system which is practiced by the elite law enforcement and military personnel of the US, like the SWAT commandos, Marine Corps, the US Marshals, DEA, and SEAL team. And that's something that he's been able to actually bring to a lot of people. The skill set that he was trained in is something that he's been able to bring to a lot of other people. In fact, he's done a lot of great work for our country, for India. He's been training for many years. He's been actually training military personnel, and to just give you an example, some of the individuals or the groups that he's been able to train with these amazing, incredible skills are the Navy Marcos East and many paramilitary agencies like the CISF, ITBP, Army Para Commandos, CISF and CRPF. He recently trained the Air Marshaling Counter Terrorist Unit. And so that is just one of his contributions to our country. So I think, Kanish, that's absolutely incredible that, not only have you, followed your passion, you've also given back to society, sharing these skills and training those who are meant to be defending us or defending our country with these incredible skills. What I also read about you, Shifu, is that you actually went ahead and you trained, I believe it was 240,000 girls of Delhi government schools in self-defense. How many?
No, I must have trained since 2005, more than that. But this was a project, so I have to complete in 6 months. I finished training 25,000 girls for the Delhi government schools. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. With this NGO called.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I was training 1,000 girls per school every week, covering that.
Wow.
So I had to cover a lot of school girls. So it was not me. But I had my entire team of like 15, 20 instructors working in my company, which were put into these schools to train the girls. Yeah.
Wonderful. I think that was an incredible initiative that you did, Also, something else that he's been doing, and, this is something he's done for a while, is he's been involved with training several Bollywood actors in martial arts. So I think that's kind of helped them lend that authenticity to, any roles that actually require something that sets you apart from the regular, like we call it, the regular mardhar in Bollywood movies, to really, bring that smoothness. So some of the individuals he's actually trained have been Shah Rukh Khan for Dawn, Madhuri Dixit for Gulab Gang, Abhishek Bachchan for Game, and Akshay Kumar for Seven Deadly Arts. He's also been involved in actually designing action stunts for cinema and performances. Kanishka is highly awarded. He's got a lot of achievements to his name. I'm not going to get into all of those. All of those I've shared in my introduction to him on this live itself. So do go ahead and have a look at all the incredible things that he's achieved at a young age, including actually being nominated for the Padma Shri for his contribution in training Indian military units and police officials across India. So again, Kanishka, very warm welcome to you. Thank you for being here today. And
thank you.
I thought we could start this conversation right at the beginning. So I'd love for you to share, with me and with anyone who's watching this, that what is it that piqued your interest in the martial arts? How did you start out?
I think it was watching a lot of martial arts movies, and my father's driver actually, so my family is all 4 generations of journalists, and my father was a political advisor to the Prime Minister of the country also. So obviously used to be very busy, and I had spent a lot of time with my driver, and he used to narrate me these stories of martial arts films and Shaolin movies and stuff. And he used to get these cassettes, VCR and stuff, and play it for me. So that thing basically sat in my mind. And in my free time, he used to train me. I don't know what he trained me, but he used to keep training me, and I used to keep copying that. That really got me going, And then he put me into the local dojo. I started with karate when I was young, like 7 years old. So my martial arts training started like when I was young. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
So that's how yeah.
I mean, that's interesting that you have spoken about your driver in the past, and that's interesting that someone encouraged you down this path. And like you've said before, you didn't really know that this would turn out to be your passion and your work for you. So I know even in school you were quite inclined towards the sports, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sure there were different type of sports that you played over the years. But I'd like to ask you, when you were younger, now I know that things have changed, so we'll come to that part in a bit. But when you were younger, what was it that people had in terms of opinion of someone who was following a passion of learning martial arts or trying to make it a career? How has that journey been for you?
I think most parents, I think at that point of time, didn't understood martial arts as per se, but they put their children, and most of our parents have seen Bruce Lee and his films and stuff, so they knew, they would always say judo karate. This was a common term. They would not differentiate between different art forms and stuff, and so like you said that we were in same school, and I was like heavily into football. I captained Sardar Patel Vidyalaya also in football, and I'm very proud that during my captaincy we won zonals. We had never done that in SPV.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
So sports and martial arts was, but like you said, a lot of people would come to my house and they would just see me kicking the punching bag. And at that point of time, we didn't have like those fancy punching bags which you see in gyms today and stuff. So what I used to do is that, the rice sack, jo chawal ka bura hota hai, I used to fill the sawdust in that, and I used to tie it up and hang it on the tree. And then I used to go bare knuckle. And I was very small. And my mom and my father, and they was like, kya karega? I don't know, he keeps punching the bags. And so either I would be watching Kung Fu films, doing Kung Fu, or I would be just doing football and stuff. So sports was the only thing which interested me. Yeah.
Awesome. So, Kanish, let's come to the turning point, which maybe you have a different one, but from what I've been able to make out, one of the turning points for you was when you decided to go to China, to the Shaolin Temple. I'd love for you to share more about that experience. How did you decide to, do that? And how's it been, having to be able to train there?
Yeah, Rammona, the thing is, I never had a confusion that I wanted to be anything else. I was very clear in my life since I was a child that I want to be a Shaolin warrior. I want to be a martial artist. This was something very clear to me. And every time my father would ask me, "Kya karega bada hoke?" I was like, "I'll be a Shaolin monk." And they would just laugh off. It's like effect of a movie and stuff. But it never
Yeah.
changed. It never changed. But the only thing which I realized that all these things cost money. It's not easy.
Sure.
When I
Sure.
had the like common sense and stuff and all those things, I realized that you have to pay for all these things and they don't come cheap. And then you have to fly abroad. यहाँ पे तो लोग अपने बच्चे को एक जगह से दूसरी जगह भेजने में भी घबराते हैं. At the age of 21, I had to leave my house and go to another country. And China being one which is a very tough country to stay, a lot of language barriers then and stuff. And you need money to fly, you need fees to pay there and stay there. But, during that process, like I did my MBA, I came back, I joined Reliance, I was working. But the turning point was my father was diagnosed with cancer, brain tumor.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in hospital. But throughout my upbringing, he had never pestered me like get good marks, get 80%, do that. He has never scolded me for marks, for studies. He had always told me one thing. तेरे को driver बनना है, be the best driver. You want to be a sweeper, be a sweeper. Be the best
Awesome.
sweeper.
Wow.
And he told me very clearly, he said, तुझे झाड़ू लगानी है, Prime Minister के घर में लगाना. But be the best. He said, I don't care. काम कोई छोटा बड़ा नहीं होता. He was very clear. He said, you don't have to
Wow.
follow just because your family is 4 generations of journalists. You have to be a journalist. No, he was very clear about this. So after coming back from Netherlands, after finishing my MBA, I joined Reliance. And it was during that time, when he suffered the cancer, I was in the hospital with him. And he asked me, how do you feel in the job? So and I'm saying this again because the word I'm going to be using is like people say, as I said, that काम कोई छोटा बड़ा नहीं होता. But my response was like, I feel like I'm like a glorified clerk. I go to the office, I sit, I do my whatever typing and speak to this dealer, this shit, that, and then go back, come back. And I told him, I said, I think after 20 years, जो विजय बिल्डिंग सीपी के नीचे ऐसे जो पान वाला बैठा है ये और 200-300 रिलायंस के कस्टमर, इनके सिवा मुझे कोई इस दुनिया में जानेगा नहीं. And I don't want to be that. I want to live my life king size. I want people to know me, what I do, because I'd always been compared with my brother since childhood, because he was also in the same school, exceptionally good in studies. He went to St. Stephen's, D School. He's a big journalist now. He's the editor of Beyond International Channel, English News Channel. So everyone in my family is a journalist. But since childhood, I would always hear that, oh, look at Karthikeya, he's so good, so good. Because sports was not considered as a profession. आज भी इस country में, like, you want people, you love Sachin Tendulkar. But like I saw this very good movie which has recently come on Netflix, but nobody wants to become the parents of Sachin Tendulkar. Becoming a parent of a person like this is very tough. You need a lot of sacrifice. Like you need to have a heart to tell your son that, okay, go do your education in cricket. Go do your education in football. Go do your education in what you love doing. Not ki pado, marks lao, 80% boards, this, that. Nobody wants to be that kind of parents. They will always say कि आप करते रहो, but पढ़ाई करो अपनी, पढ़ाई complete करो. Martial arts is also studies. Football is also studies. That's why we are not able to produce world-class players. Because हमारा हमेशा से ही रहता है CA बन जाओ, CS बन जाओ, धंधा कर लो, MBA कर लो, IAS बन जाओ, IPS बन जाओ. So when I told this to my father, he said, then who's stopping you to do what you want to do? If you feel you're like a glorified clerk and you're not happy, why are you doing the job? So I said कि थोड़ा पैसा वैसा आ जाता है. He said, remember one thing, शेर हमेशा अकेला चढ़ता है और भेड़ जो है वो झुंड में चलती है, So
translate that into English.
Okay. So the tiger walks alone. Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to be in a group of sheep, you'll always remain like that. You will never know.
Yeah.
But when everybody knows tiger, like a trout fish which flows against the current, And if
Yeah.
you have to be good at something, you have to go mad over it. You have to be mad about it. Sleep, eat, drink, that particular thing only. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of
True.
sacrifice which goes. So he said, then he told me, he said, remember, you cannot do everything in your life. Do what you love doing. Make your passion as your profession. After that, he passed away. And हमारे जैसे होता है हमारे हिंदुस्तान में जो 13 days passed 13वीं जो होती है
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I rejoined the office and I told my boss that I won't leave to go to Shaolin Temple. Initially I thought that I'll go for like 10 days and stuff. I had written the email and stuff. So my boss said, no way, you won't get it. So I gave a resignation letter to him and I came back and I gave the resignation letter to my mother. She thought that, I got a new job and it's just been 15 days, 16 days.
Yeah.
So when she opened, she saw a resignation letter and her jaw almost dropped because she was under depression and stuff. I said, I'm going to leave for Shaolin Temple. She was in a state of shock. Anybody would be in a state of shock. I said, I'm going to fulfill something which I wanted to do and something which my father told me.
Yeah.
So then I didn't have that much of money. Rammona,
Sorry to interrupt you here, Kanishka, but I think
Yeah.
that was a beautiful gift that, your father gave you, even though he was ill and he was in the hospital. I mean, that encouragement that he gave you, and, he gave you the drive to continue pursuing something you loved. So a lot of, appreciation for that. Sorry, go ahead. You were saying something about you didn't have much money.
Yeah, so, because, whatever I had, I sold that. I sold the car. But still, it was short. So I had to take money from my mother. So she supported me. And that was the first time how I went to Shaolin Temple. At that time, you would get visa only for 3 months, 1 month valid stay. So then I had to extend it in the police station and increase my duration. And that was the first time when I went for 2 months to China to study in 2001.
Okay.
Yeah.
So someone just asked a question here. Saurabh Dimri, is that Kanishk from our school? Yes, this is Shifu Kanishk from our school, from Sardar Patel Vidyalaya. So anyone who's watching this now or later, this is the same Kanishk. And at a young age, he's actually done some pretty incredible things. So I'm just really excited that I have this opportunity today to have this conversation and to share with people that, it's okay sometimes to, choose something else. And if you're not happy choosing that, to make another choice, just like you did. You made a different choice, even though, you did complete your studies, you actually got an MBA, all of that. And in spite of that, you had that passion inside you and you just couldn't let it be. You wanted to pursue that passion and you had the courage to do that. So tell me, the time that you spent in China must have been difficult. It couldn't have been an easy, training.
It's not easy because I was training there 6 to 7 hours every day, very hard training. And first 25 days were like excruciating, painful, sore body. Like I've never trained 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day. Like our training used to start at, I used to get up at 4:30 in the morning and get up and run this 1,000-meter mountain up straight away and crawl back like a dog, hand and feet like this. 20 minutes you had to complete that up and down. Okay, and after that, continue training. And so my legs were sore, body was sore, and I had fever. I learned quite a few of lessons in Shaolin Temple. So my first teacher was a boy called Shi Jun. He was a 11-year-old child. Okay.
11-year-old child. Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So this was the first lesson which I learned in Shaolin Temple. So when I went there, I had this fascination that an old monk will come and then he's going to start training me like in films and stuff. So I went there and then I met the master. I was like, wow, I met the master and stuff. Next day, the translator came and he said, go to that particular place and then you'll find your teacher. He was a young kid, 11-year-old. And then I had an ego in me, I was like, I trained 11 years in India. I'm a black belt in karate and I've done this, kung fu and stuff. And what will an 11-year-old child train me? So I didn't train with him. I went to the translator. I said, I paid the fees to train with the master. So he asked me the question. He said, how many years did you train? I said, 11. He said, no. How many years did you train Shaolin Kung Fu? I said, never. He said, this boy has trained 5 years, since the age of 5. He's your senior. So the first lesson which I got was that you can learn from anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone. Anything.
I think that's a very important lesson. Yeah.
You learn from your own children. You can learn from anyone. Don't refuse
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
And
think
I
that's
was
such a
very,
beautiful lesson. Yeah.
yeah. And then the fifth day, my bag almost got thrown outside the school
Okay.
because I was in so much of a pain, and my, like the way you do squats, but in Shaolin we call it Jama or Mabu. We hold it for 1 hour. You don't move from that squatting position. It, like, people can't do it for 3 minutes. I guarantee 3 to 5 minutes, and to stay for 1 hour with the incense, beneath your butt. So if you go down, you
Yeah.
get burnt. Yeah, if you come
Wow.
up, the teacher whacks you with a stick. It was so much of a pain, and so that my teacher was pressing me down. So I sort of, like, I shrugged the shoulder. I just can't do it. Like, after 15 minutes, I saw my bag was packed, and they just put it outside the school. And he said, if you don't want to train, you get out. So I had to sleep outside the school in the staircase. I didn't know what to do. The next day, when they opened the gate of the Shaolin Secular Disciples, I was still there on the floor. And then I apologized, So being humble is the second lesson I learned from there. And then the third lesson was, because I was so pampered in India, I would ask for everything, get me this, get me that, blah, blah, blah. So my teacher gave me the duty to work in the kitchen and clean the toilets. I had to mop the toilets, and it's stinky. I can't tell you how the Chinese toilets were. They were not like these Western commodes. It was like हमारे गांव में जैसे होता है, like a bench, and that's it.
Yeah.
They sit there, and I'm sorry, viewers, you have to listen to this, and you have to
That's
flush
okay.
everything with the water after 1 week. It was so stinky, like I had to cover my face, but it made me a better human being after training
I
there.
think, it's important the lessons that you've shared with us, because these are lessons that we can apply in life, in any situation we are in. There's few comments here. There's someone called Devon. He's asking, in and outside of the temple, what was your experience with the people? Were they welcoming? I guess he's referring to your experience in China.
Very, 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 very welcoming, because the the Indians, they call it Hindu rain. Hindu is India, and like Jungo rain means the Chinese, the Hindu rain means Indian, and Bodhidharma was the second Indian Buddhist monk. The first Indian Buddhist monk was Batuo, Buddhabhadra, for which Shaolin Temple was made. This is another confusion which people have. People generally say, oh, Shaolin Temple was made for Bodhidharma. Bodhidharma came at the end of 6th century. Batuo, the Buddhabhadra, for whom the temple was made, came in early 6th century. I didn't know I was the first Indian after them who went to the Shaolin Temple to get trained. So they would keep telling me, oh, Hindu, I never understood. I had to ask my teacher, why do they keep calling me that? So then they said, I think you're the first Indian who came after like so many years to basically train martial arts and stuff. So very welcoming, very nice people, apart from whatever, they really helped me out and supported me there, especially my
That's
teacher.
awesome.
The word Shifu means a teacher, a teacher like father. That's what Shifu means, okay? So I would say, he really held my pinky finger and, supported me in China, walked me through in that,
Awesome.
But so my experience was something which I need to tell people is like, what you see today, Kung Fu is mostly most of the modern style Wushu, contemporary kind of stuff, but traditional Kung Fu is very tough. It is extremely tough and beautiful and powerful. And for that, you need to be a disciple. You don't learn that if you're a student, you just learn from the periphery. But if you become a disciple, like I got accepted as a disciple after 4 years by my master with proper, ceremony and stuff. My master Shi Yan You, and that's when he started training me one-on-one. So it was different. Yeah.
Amazing. So there are a few comments here which I thought I'll quickly share. Deepika says he's super talented.
She's my wife. She's my wife.
Hey, Deepika. Awesome to have her watching this, Deepika. And I'm sure, it's been an interesting journey, having Shifu as your husband. And I know you've been incredibly supportive of, all the work that he continues to do. So thank you for, letting him have that and spread his magic, in India and in other countries. And
Kamal, don't ask her what I told her after she got married to me.
I will ask you in a minute. So Kamaljeet says, incredible passion and drive. More power to you, Kanishka. And
Thank you, sir.
Saurabh says, brother, lovely to hear your story. Kudos. I remember playing football with you in school. Let's catch
Yeah,
up
I remember
sometime.
Dimri. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Dimri.
So why don't you tell me about your wife now? What reference were you? I did read something in an article about you.
Yeah, okay.
Where someone asked you, I think your wife was pregnant. Someone asked you, who's your first love or what is your first love? I don't know if you're referring to that or
No.
something else.
Yeah, so it was my wife only. She asked me, so what's your first love? So I said, Kung Fu. I said, you're my second love. And
Awesome.
now she has accepted that fact that Kung Fu is my first wife.
Well, that's why I was thanking her for being supportive of you. So she says, jokes apart, we're really proud of him. That's so beautiful, Deepika. Thank you for that
Yeah.
comment. And I was going to take the conversation here, but someone asked this question. Shalini says, "Is there a special diet plan you follow?" And I know that there's another hidden talent Shifu has, and that is cooking, right?
No,
So let's talk about that.
Shalini is my wife's sister.
Oh, okay. So you have a lot of you have a lot of family watching this. That's amazing.
Yeah, I
That's
think
really
so. Yeah,
nice.
I'm surprised. Yeah.
That's great. So tell me, I know, I've seen some of your
Yeah.
pictures on Facebook with all this delicious looking food, and I've been wondering when will
Yeah.
I get a chance to taste some of that amazing
I
food. So maybe we can take the
Yeah,
conversation
no,
because
no,
you
no.
had that experience of cooking as well in China. So
Yeah,
share with us
I
about
love cooking. Deepika and me, we both are foodies. So
that. Okay,
anytime, please come with your children. Come home and I'll cook for you. Yeah. So I love
wonderful.
cooking Chinese food. I love cooking
Yeah.
Chinese food, and yeah, food is one of my weakness. So Shalini is asking a wrong question. Diet plan not working with me. I don't take care of the diet.
No, but tell me on a serious note, Kanishk, to have the kind of discipline that you have. Of course, I
Yeah.
understand that even now you probably spend a lot of time, training. You spend time on yourself. You spend a lot of time training other people. There must be certain things in your diet that you've got to follow, or is that not the case?
So to be very honest with you, like शादी से पहले तो I used to follow a lot of stuff. I used to get up and blah 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 blah. अभी शादी के बाद I met another foodie. So now we both are foodie. So that's the problem. So it never works. But yeah, but Deepika really works hard on she pulls my string sometimes. Like she'll make sure that she gives me these broccoli soup and saute vegetables and all those stuff. She knows when I'm going wrong, she'll pull the string. Don't do that, and
Wonderful.
so that's the thing. But yeah,
Thank you. I mean, I appreciate your honesty, that honest response that you
yeah,
gave. I think that's beautiful because, sometimes it's just easy to say, yeah, I'm very disciplined and this is what I do. So, you're the real person, Kanishk, and that's why you're here today on Keeping It Real with Rammona. So
yeah,
thank you for that honesty. So,
yeah.
Kanish, tell me about your experience with, Bollywood, which has been a little bit more of the glamorous side, perhaps, of the work that you've been doing. So, how
Yeah.
did you start, designing the stunt scenes and training, different actors? How's that? And, how's that experience been? And what is one of your most memorable experiences from there?
I'll tell you one thing. So it started with everything started with Doordarshan actually. So
Okay.
with TV, like I when I was very small, I was a child artist. With this is a very famous series called Mungeri Lal Ke Haseen Sapne. No,
Yes, I
people
remember
like
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was a child artist in that. So I worked in that,
Okay.
and then my mother had produced more than 300 to 400 documentary programs and films and stuff. And she used to do a show called Rags to Riches and stuff, anchor and produce.
Okay.
So once I came back from Shaolin, the whole thing starts from basically I figured out I have no money. Like I had zero balance in my bank account, what to do. And for 3, 4 months, I have no money. So I was just sitting, eating, training at home. And then I got one student and I was like, this is not the way I can like live my life.
Yeah.
In 500 rupees a month. So since I had always watched films and When I was in China, there were a lot of camera people would come and shoot me because I'm an Indian. I was a foreigner in the Shaolin Temple and stuff. So I realized that TV is one of the big mediums to promote, and make people realize that. So I requested my mom to, if she can introduce me in Doordarshan to someone. I had some concept in my mind. So I made a project report of a series called Synergy of Martial Arts. Okay, that was the
All
name
right.
of that program. So it got approved by DD, and I made 26 episodes in that. The program got really very hit, and it was during that time. I think some of you must have seen it. I got a call from National Geographic Channel from Dilshad ma'am. She was heading the
Okay.
NGC India at that point of time, and she said, Kanish, we are making this Indian version of an international program called Seven Deadly Arts, and we would like you. At that time, Akshay Kumar was a big star, big upcoming martial artist.
Sure.
People used to say Jackie Chan of India. So he said, we want you to train Akshay, and we want you to help us script. So I scripted out of seven, two episodes, Muay Thai and Shaolin Kung Fu, and I trained Akshay in that, in both of
Awesome.
them. And then, of course, because it was Akshay who narrates, like he introduces these martial artists, and there was a lot of footage of me training Akshay. And NGC was a
Yeah.
big channel, so there was a lot of promotion, a lot of media promotion, a lot of newspaper that I am training Akshay and stuff. And then after that, 1 year more, I think, passed by. I was doing a lot of another TV work called The Shaolin Road. There were another 26 episodes which I was making for DD. I got a call from Farhan Akhtar actually straight away.
All right.
And so I didn't believe Farhan had called me up. He said, I would like you to meet Shahrukh. So I thought it's a crank call, so I cut it. So he called me up again. He said, no, I am Farhan Akhtar and I want you to meet Shahrukh. And then he put me on phone with Shahrukh. And then he said, I want you to come tomorrow to Mumbai. We are sending you the tickets and stuff. And I was like, okay, something big is coming. I was really excited. Went there. We just spoke for like 10 minutes, and then he asked me that these are the stars. By that time, I had actually been to Philippines and I had completed a
Okay.
course with Loman Kam. He's the nephew of Ip Man. Ip Man was Bruce Lee's teacher. Okay, so
Okay.
and I got this system in India called Police Kung Fu. I was trained in this Police Kung Fu is trained by the Taiwan SWAT Commando team. So that
Sure.
includes a lot of weapon disarms, knife to hand combat system. So Farhan asked me, I wanted to do a different kind of action. So he pointed a ball pen at me. He said, can you sort of disarm that, thinking it's a gun? So I just quickly did it, and he was like, oh, he said, you're signed immediately. So that's
Wow.
how Dawn happened for me. And after that was like a lot of promotion because I trained Shahrukh for 5 months in Mumbai, then Priyanka, a lot of people. I got a lot of other
Yeah.
projects simultaneously in television
Yeah.
and stuff. So the journey in Bollywood started. Yeah, that's how
Yeah.
it started.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. And it just goes to show the power of actually, having the courage to follow your passion. I'm sure when you started
Yeah,
out, you probably didn't know, what were the different things you were going to do and, what your different achievements were going to be. You were just following, what you knew you wanted to do. And the other day when
yeah,
we were talking, you said that, that you feel lucky that you get to do, something you love every single day.
yes,
So that,
yes,
that is just, I think the best thing. I mean, if we can live our lives doing what we love, then
yeah,
life is lived at a totally different level. So Kanish, tell me a little
yeah.
bit about your current work, your current projects. I know you have a lot of centers in different parts of India and overseas, so I'd love for you to share a little bit more about them.
So currently, I'm developing my. This is India's first residential martial arts school in the hills. It's called
Yeah.
Shaolin Gurukul. So we can
Yeah.
accommodate around 50 people can stay there in the hills with me and train. So I'm developing that. And apart from that, like in India, I have 8 centers, and abroad, I teach a lot in Hong Kong, in Thailand, Sweden, Canada, and America. So I'm developing that. I want to open one more center in Canada. I'm in talks with my student. So that's my plan, to open one more center in Canada. But my thing is two things which I firmly believe: that if you have to be a master, you have to be a student all your life. So I don't stop my training. Like many people think that, once you become a master, people get complacent and they just sit down and, that he's a sensei, he's a coach. I keep training every year with my masters. I keep learning new art because I need to
Yeah.
upgrade my knowledge. That's what I feel, because things are changing, world is changing. So you have to keep upgrading yourself. And that's how I keep myself on the toes, and I keep sharing that knowledge with my students. The second thing, I want to spread this knowledge to the people. But something which is very close to me is like after the Mumbai attack happened,
Yeah.
26/11, उस दिन मेरी
Yeah.
शादी का संगीत चल रहा था. So everybody disappeared because I told you we are all from journalist family. So they were all the
Yes.
journalists and suddenly everybody disappeared. So I didn't understand
Wow.
what happened. Then later, so it really shook me actually, and I was like, that our military close combat system is not up to the mark, because when I saw
Yeah.
the news, the way they were handling the terrorism, especially the police and stuff, I was like, it's not up to the
Yeah.
mark. So I flew to Philippines to study the system called Pekiti Tirsia Kali, and I got the system in India. Okay, Pekiti Tirsia Kali is taught in 60 countries to all elite armed force agencies and units all over the world.
Yeah.
So I got this tactical combat system in India, and I introduced this system to the Indian Special Forces Training School. There is a difference between infantry and special forces. Infantry forces fight within the country. Special forces are the ones which do cross-border operation, like when we did it on Pakistan and stuff. So these are all special
Correct.
forces. So
Sure.
I started running these courses in the Special Forces Training School, and it became an official cadre course. So since 2010, so I've trained the Air Force Special Forces, which are called Garuds, NSG, Marines, SF units. So this is something which is very close to me. This is my giving back to my country. Okay, that is something which is
Yeah.
close to me.
That's
So
what I
I have
said when I.
I did the real world, and then this is the real world, because you, in the real world I can take 4 5 cuts and shots and reshoot it. In the real world, if they do a mistake, they will die. It's a life and death situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think you
that
put that
excites
so
me more.
beautifully. Yeah, I think you put that very beautifully, because when I was introducing you, and obviously, like I said, there are many achievements to your name. You won many awards and many documentaries made about you. But there were a couple of things that really, when I even looked at that stuck out for me. One was the training, the self defense training that you and your team did for a lot of the girls in the government schools, and the second was this contribution
Yeah,
to the elite units that need to be trained
yeah,
the
yeah,
right way
yeah,
to be able to defend themselves and us. So I think that's an absolutely incredible contribution to the country. So we're going to be
yeah,
drawing this conversation to a close soon, Kanishk.
yeah,
I wanted to just ask you, maybe the last thing I wanted to ask you was that there are a lot of people who have certain passions. There
yeah,
are people who want to do certain things, but like you said earlier in the conversation, a lot of times it's parents. A lot of times it can be our own insecurities that stop us from pursuing what we really want to do. Is there any piece of
yeah.
advice that you'd like to give someone who may be a young person? It could also be someone who's older, right?
Okay, so there are two things. Number one, uh, support from family does matter. Moral support at least. Like for me, it was my mother. Okay. Okay, then of course, like I got married, Deepika came, and she supports. But I'm saying, even if your parents do not support, do not stop, following your passion. You have to take that quantum leap. लोग डर जाते हैं, यार अब पैसा आना बंद हो जाएगा तो मैं क्या करूंगा? Then you can't
Yeah.
do it. You have to have faith in yourself that this is the
Yeah.
only thing I want to do in my life. This is the only thing I will do. It's like that, the firm affirmation you have, the secret, you ask from the
Yes.
universe, you go for it and you grab it. It's yours, you know. So you must have that in you. Don't give it up कि मैं अब देखूंगा क्या करूंगा. ट्रायल एंड एरर, ट्रायल एंड एरर. हिंदी में कहते हैं ना रमोना कि 10 जगह गड्ढे खोदोगे तो पानी नहीं निकलता. You have to dig hole at one place and keep digging, the
Yeah.
water will come out.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
that is more important. So don't be afraid. But I do have a piece of advice for the girls. मैं हर साल बोलता हूँ, and I'm heavily trolled for this, but I'll still give
Yeah.
it here. Every
Okay.
year
What is
the people, yeah, every year people call me for this Women Day celebration. They pay me to do women self-defense workshop for 1 hour, motivating talks for women. But you can see every year women get raped.
Absolutely.
The problem
Every
is,
day.
like, yeah, every day, every year. I'm not giving, like, every 25, every 15 minutes, 7 minutes, I have the
Absolutely.
statistics. A girl is getting raped
Yeah.
and abducted.
Yeah.
वो हिंदी में कहते हैं जो सशक्त होता है वही सुरक्षित होता है. You are strong yourself, you can save yourself. Okay. Do
Yeah.
not rely on other people to do that. And just by celebrating Women Day on one day and doing a 1 hour self defense, it's not tricks. It's not a trick of the trade. It's a
Yeah.
necessity today. Like you breathe, you drink water every day, you eat food. You have to invest your time in training. I tell these girls, all the people, you have all the money to shop weekend, you have all the money to spend on booze and drinks every weekend, but you don't have the money to pay 3,000 or 4,000 to a guy who's teaching you a skill to save your life. That is a problem. If you don't train, if the girls do not train, they can't defend themselves outside. They're meeting a person who's lunatic, who's drunk, whose intentions are bad. No matter how many laws you have to be strong yourself. You have to be cautious. You have to be smart, savvy, and you must have skills. The last thing is you must have skills to save yourself. And that is my
Yeah.
purpose of training these girls. My only request is go out and train. That is the most important thing. 100
Yeah.
hours of training in the gym is like 1 minute of fighting in the street. 100 hours of training is 1 minute fighting. So
Incredible.
much of a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I mean, I think that's important because this is something that troubles, a lot of people. It's like, on festivals, we celebrate like, the female goddesses, for example, right? Whoever it
Yeah.
could be. It could be Lakshmi, it could be Durga. But then out in the street and out in the real world,
You
women
need
are getting
Kali.
raped. Women,
You
yeah,
need
we need
Kali.
the Kali energy. Yeah, yeah,
But
true.
it's
And
inside you. Like Ramona, I'll give you one example before I close this. You are a mother.
so,
Today, if I
yeah,
tell you fight a guy, you might hesitate. But if the same guy comes and wants to kidnap your daughter, your son in front of you, then I
yeah,
want to see a different Ramona will come out of it. You know
absolutely,
that
absolutely,
that Kali is inside every girl. It just needs to be out.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I work with energy healing. I've done that for several years now. So coming
Yeah,
to, one of the things you said, it's like, you were saying that, the advice you were giving people who want to follow their passion, but, are scared to. It's like, when you're joyful, when you're happy doing what you're doing, money follows joy. So, I think you've
exactly.
seen that in your own life, with the
Yeah,
success story that you are, you've
yeah,
got all these incredible centers all over the world, and you are doing training online as well, and you continue to upgrade your own skills along the way. So again, thank you, Kanish, so much for being here. It was
thank you,
wonderful
Ramona.
having you
Thank you
and
so much.
keeping it real with Ramona,
Thank you.
and I wish you all the
Yes,
best. Keep spreading the
thank
magic.
you. Thank
Thank you
you.
so
And
much.
for my friends from Sardar Patel.
Take care.
Take
Bye.
care.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye bye. Bye
Thank you.
bye. Thank you.